downtown. I-57 Bishop Ford looking good. Tollways are pretty light, no problems. Report in Northwest Indiana. The 2nd of January, that's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Some sun, but then turning cloudy today. The high at 46. Clouds tonight and tomorrow. Low tonight 32. High tomorrow 38. A snow shower on Saturday morning, otherwise a cloudy day. The high Saturday 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
With the sun out, we bumped up to 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and that little yapping terrier who hosts Meet the Press, Chuck Todd.
I like the analogy.
Isn't it? Doesn't he strike you that way? Yeah.
The Yorkie.
He is super insulting, and to wit, this letter to the editor he read on Sunday's Meet the Press from January from some guy who wrote a letter to the editor to a Lexington, Kentucky paper that described Trump voters as basically cranks. If the letter, then Chuck Todd read this on air. If you find somebody who believes in Noah's Ark, then you have a Trump voter. Denigrating Christians. And then again, Chuck Todd just scratching his head.
Chuck Todd.
These guys inside the belt just scratching their head at how Trump continues to win and continues to really be buoyed by impeachment, not taken down. Nonetheless, Chuck Todd, previewing 2020 for us, said this.
It is a strategy that depends on a middle of the electorate overlooking the president's personal character and somehow getting him to re-election. I think it's a very uphill battle for him.
Uphill battle for a Trump re-election. That runs in the face right now of polling in swing states. Well, not really even a swing state anymore, really a blue state. Used to be a swing state, Virginia, which has Trump up.
It's unbelievable.
The Mason-Dixon poll, plus 12 Democrat respondents to Republicans because it's a Democrat state. He's up on three of the four major contenders for the nomination: Biden, Warren, Bernie, and Pete. He's up on all but Joe Biden, and he's only 2 points down to Biden, which is a statistical dead heat in Virginia. So, I mean, a lot can happen between now and November, of course, but it's sort of remarkable where Trump is, given that he's president, supposedly with the cloud of impeachment hanging over him. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Jazz Shaw, weekend editor at hotair.com. Jazz, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year to both of you. Thanks for inviting me. Before we get any further, though, I would like to voice a small objection. I think that was a rather unfair comparison you just made a little while ago.
Unfair to a terrier?
Has several Yorkshire Terriers.
Yeah.
And they're lovely, nice dogs.
Yeah, right. And
Little purse dogs.
And they probably don't have those sort of unsightly goatees either.
Exactly.
So what about Chuck Todd's prediction? Do you think that Trump is facing uphill right now, or is it the Democrats that are looking at an incline?
Oh, God. I keep going back and forth on this. I mean, I watched the polls. One day they're up, one day they're down. They bounce back and forth. The president's approval rating really doesn't change all that much from news cycle to news cycle. And when he loses ground, they talk about it. When he gains it back, people don't mention it. The ones I've been watching are the polls in the swing states. He's doing pretty darn well, even against Biden in most of them, and he's just mopping the floor with someone like Buttigieg and Warren, you know. So if he's facing an uphill battle, there have been much worse uphill battles faced before. There's no guarantee he's going to win.
No,
and he'll
of course.
probably lose the popular vote. But I think his chances of winning a second term at this point are actually pretty good.
Well, we had the Iowa caucuses 32 days away from today. And who do you see as the Democratic contender? Because now Bernie Sanders is leading with fundraising right now, right? With $34.5 million.
Oh, yeah, he had a record-setting quarter for this cycle, which is, good for Bernie, I guess. I would dearly love to see Bernie be the nominee, but I don't honestly see it happening. Unless there's a major shift or the polls are really getting it wrong, I think there's a pretty good chance that former Mayor Pete Buttigieg comes out of Iowa with a win. If he doesn't, a really impressive close second place. I don't know if that is going to do anything to build momentum. He's doing pretty well in New Hampshire, too, but after that, the landscape looks pretty bad for him.
Well, and this breaking news just came over the transom.
What?
The Democrat field for President of the United States just got whiter. Julian Castro dropping out of the presidential race. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I can't go on.
Now they're without a Bond villain impersonator.
Oh.
So Castro's by the boards too. Oh, I mean, most people probably forgot he was still in the race, as is the case with so many candidates. But the Biden thing, I have said from the outset that Biden is actually the weakest candidate that they could nominate, and I know that doesn't look like it right now, but I think. One, polls are snapshots in time. And secondly, it's a bit of a sugar high just because he has some stickiness with a core constituency in the Democrat Party. But I mean, Biden is being pushed. I think he's being pushed. Maybe he's just embracing it. Really beyond, I think, even his comfort level on the left, which usually is pretty high. New Hampshire town hall, parroting Comrade Bernie's line that he would imprison fossil fuel company executives. Those are the kind of statements that make it very difficult to walk back in a general election and be seen as credible.
I don't think his base is going to hold any of those statements against him. In general terms, he gets a lot of benefit for having been Obama's vice president, but I don't know that translates into the same historic levels of minority turnout that Barack Obama enjoyed and Hillary Clinton did not enjoy. But I think there's one factor that you didn't bring up that's going to be a lot worse. If he becomes the nominee and he is the sole focus of everyone's attention when everyone starts paying attention, and if he has to debate Donald Trump, I have serious concerns about how well Joe Biden is holding on to his marbles, so to speak.
And to deflect this narrative about the fossil fuel executives being imprisoned, he's now saying he might have a GOP running mate. Are you buying any of that, or is that just smoke and mirrors?
That's actually going to hurt him with his base because that's not something anybody wants to hear. And no, there's no way he's going to consider that. He's going to have a Democrat, and he's probably going to have a Democratic woman of color. Just because that's how the game is played. I will honestly be shocked. Whoever, if it's a white male, any of them gets the nomination if Kamala Harris isn't the VP pick.
What about Hunter as his VP? I mean, because that may be the only.
Commerce Secretary for sure.
Well, Hunter is you could technically say he's a fossil fuel company executive.
Oh, that's right.
So being his running mate may be the only way to keep him out of jail.
I never thought about that, but you're right. He is a fossil fuel executive.
Yeah.
Not that he knew anything about energy when he got the job or actually did anything, but technically.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't speak Russian. Probably never, maybe once time in Ukraine.
Where the party is right now, too, their party, because one of the things that it seems that Chuck Todd and so many of the prognosticators inside the Beltway forget is that this is a exercise in moral relativism, voting. So so Trump is going to be running against somebody, and whoever that somebody is going to have all sorts of glaring faults as well, and not the record of accomplishment to run on, unless Joe Biden can successfully run on whatever Obama's record of accomplishment was. Seems pretty thin and pretty distant at this point, and even Brett Stevens saying this in the New York Times, writing this in the New York Times over the weekend about the intolerance, the censoriousness, the nastiness of the left. whether it's the anti-Semitism coming from the Squad or the anti-Christianity coming from the party writ large. I mean, those sorts of things turn people off as much as a Trump tweet, if not more.
Oh yeah, they've got their own problems, but like I said, I think it's also going to be a question of competence. Let's all just admit this is a beauty contest for the base on both sides. How much competence the eventual nominee has is not going to play nearly as large of a factor as the hatred of President Trump and the desire to get rid of him, which is going to be a big motivator, for the base. The question is, again, all those people in the middle, those rare undecided voters or persuadable voters, however you want to put it. And I think that if Joe Biden gets up on stage and starts forgetting what state he's in or what years he was vice president or the other things he's been, I mean, Joe was always kind of gaffe prone to the usual,
Yes.
isn't that funny gaffe. This doesn't just look like gaffes anymore. He looks like he's really losing the narrative. And if that shows up when he's on stage, particularly late in the evening, which is, speaking from experience in my family, when people that are starting to, perhaps lose the grip on reality a little bit when things get worse, that's going to have an impact on people. Like, seriously, we're going to make this guy the leader of the free world and give him control of the nukes,
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I wonder, too, I mean, this is probably an imponderable at this point, but I talked to a high-ranking Republican legislator last year about, is there any prospect of taking back the House if President Trump wins? And he said, basically, no. I wonder if the opinions are changing because of how the impeachment is playing out and where the economy is currently and where the market is currently associated. I wonder if there is some prospect that Democrats in districts Trump won could be in real trouble, such that the House could flip if he runs against somebody that he's able to dispatch by a comfortable margin.
I think some of them, particularly the freshmen that came in 2018, are going to be in trouble. A great example of that, I would point to New York 22, Anthony Brindisi, who won that seat in a traditionally R+6 district by such a narrow margin. It was 2 weeks before they called the race after the election. It was one of the last ones called. And he avoided, like the plague, saying anything about what he was going to do on impeachment until about 2 days before, when he said he had decided and he was going to vote for impeachment. And, oh, man, he's tanking up here right now. So that's one. I don't know if there are enough of them to actually flip the House. They've got a pretty wide margin. I would say it's not at all impossible that they're going to lose a good piece of that. It would be a lot closer, but, man, the cards would all have to fall our way to actually get the majority back.
Well, it may happen over 2 cycles, if not in 20, because those blue states after the 2020 census are going to be losing congressional seats, like here in Illinois, where we are. Also, like New York.
Yeah, poor AOC.
Yeah, and Frank Luntz tweeting out that New York, which is expected to lose a congressional seat after the census, state Democrats looking to draw out AOC's district. Oh, no, is she going to have to go back to being a barmaid?
It would be, I hate to be that person, to be that nasty, but there would be just sort of an ironic bit of humor if the seat they drew out of existence was AOC's seat. But from the state delegates, people that I've talked to here in New York, because I live in upstate New York, she may be popular nationally. She's not really that popular in New York.
Really?
She could win another race in her district, if she's the incumbent. But around the state, she ruffles a lot of feathers. So I wouldn't rule that out. I think Frank may be right. They might be looking at that going, we're going to lose the seat anyway, so we can't really carve out one of the red ones because they're all scattered around in the upstate area. Maybe we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here.
That would be delicious. I got to say. I mean, it's interesting because Illinois has a problem too. Sean Trendy over at Real Clear Politics made mention that in Illinois, with us hemorrhaging population, even at a faster pace than New York, maybe losing 2 congressional seats after the 20 census, it's going to be very difficult to draw 3 majority African American districts like those currently held by Danny Davis, Bobby Rush, and Robin Kelly here, too. So Democrat cartographers in blue states that are shrinking are going to have some challenges after the census.
Yep. We're going to have that problem in California, too, I think. Aren't they on the edge, depending what the final numbers are, of losing a seat?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So
because people are fleeing that disaster area of California faster than they're getting more immigrants to come in.
This is the case. So if, like I said, if you can't get it done in 20, House Republicans may be in a good position over the next two cycles. He is Jazz Shaw, weekend editor at hotair.com. Jazz, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anytime. And you guys have a great new year.
You too.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruit and veggie capsules contain 100% vine-ripened fruits and vegetables with no pesticides, fillers, or additives of any kind, and are the most effective whole food supplements on